Today we are talking about essential craft room tools. I am going to go over some of my favorite general products that I use for almost all of my crafts and break down things that I think you need in your craft room. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Sarah. I am a lifetime crafter. I've been crafting for a very long time and I've accumulated a lot of stuff, a lot of tools, materials, supplies. If you've been crafting for any amount of time, you probably feel the same way. We tend to save little bits and pieces because maybe we can make something with them. I find that with tools too. I've collected a lot of tools and machines over the years, and some of them have really stuck. Some of them I use all the time. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to talk about essential craft room tools, those items that you really should have, and the specific brands that I really like. Most of these are incredibly affordable. A couple of them are from the Dollar Tree. So these are not going to break the bank, but they're going to change the way you craft. So that's what we're talking about today. As always, before we dive into our topic, I want to talk about some deals and some new products that are launching in January. If you want to skip this part, head over to the next chapter and we can dive into today's topic. So here's what I've got going on for deals. I've been telling you all January that there's not these huge sales going on because we came off of fourth quarter when a lot of stuff was on sale. But that doesn't mean there are no sales. So here's what I've got for you this week. We're going to talk about Lock Leak, the new-ish smart cutter that is on the market. I now have 3 videos up featuring the Lock Leak iCraft. It is a smart cutting machine, very similar to like a Cricut Explorer. And I'm really liking this machine. The video I did this week is all about stickers. And next week I have a video going up comparing it head to head with the Cricut that I think it most matches. And we're going to talk about some of the similarities and differences. Right now you can get the Lock Leak iCraft for as low as $199. There's a code in the description to get you down to that price. And then there's some bundles that go along with it so you can get some materials to get started. I'm really liking this machine. Very easy to use. As always, I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about Creative Fabrica, my favorite place for design elements and fonts. For just $47 a year, you can get a membership, and then you get that commercial license too. Great place to grab some fonts or elements that you're going to use in your designs. I use these with my Cricut and my lasers. Speaking of Cricut, right now through the 25th, you can get 40% off of vinyl and free shipping on orders over $50. So if you want to stock up on some vinyl, now might be a good time. There are some machine deals. I actually think there might be a deal on every machine, anywhere from like $20 to $80 off with that free shipping as well. So you're not paying full price for any of these things if these are something that you need to grab. There are 2 laser companies that have some brand new products and they're pretty cool. So the first one I want to tell you about is We Create. They make lasers and I own their Vision and the Vista. Pretty remarkable machines in that they can do a lot in a very compact space and pretty budget-friendly pricing too. So We Create just launched a mini fume extractor. It's like this big. It's kind of cute. I have mine on the floor, but it could sit like on a tabletop next to your We Create Vista laser. And it's got great filters inside of it. It's going to help when that air gets pulled out of the machine that has all the smoke and exhaust. This is going to purify it before sending it out your window, just making that air around you even cleaner. Great little machine. I do have a video coming on that. Second company with laser news is Xtool. They announced 2 new products. One is already launched. So they launched the F1 Lite. So the Xtool F1 is kind of a tall green laser. There's the F1 and it has 2 laser modules in it. It has a 10 watt diode and a 2 watt IR module. It's portable, it has a handle on top. A lot of people really like to take this out to craft fairs so you can personalize on the spot. The F1 Ultra is something that I own. Same kind of green tall look, much bigger, and it is a 20 watt diode and a 20 watt fiber laser. So between those two, you can really engrave anything, like all kinds of metals. Plus you can do some cutting on smaller pieces too. The F1 Lite, still that same small portable green machine like the original F1, but it is only a single laser. It is a 10-watt diode laser. Portable, you could take it to your craft markets, and most importantly, it is affordable. It comes in at $7.99 with just a couple of accessories with it. Really great way to get into laser engraving, especially if what you want to do is personalize items at craft markets. So the F1 Lite, brand new from Xtool, on their website and available for purchase right now. The other thing that Xtool launched is still in the Kickstarter phase. They have been teasing an apparel printer, and yesterday it launched with a little sneak peek on YouTube. This is like an all-star DTF printer. If you're new to DTF, I did an episode earlier this month covering kind of the basics to help you understand what it is. But essentially, this is going to print screens, right? So images that you could put on shirts. This is actually a DTF print here. But the machine not only prints, it's going to coat, dry, and bake those prints too, all in one. It looks to have a shaker right like inside the machine. It is really cool. I don't know a ton yet, but they do have a Kickstarter page and that teaser video. It launches, I believe, in February. So we're going to be learning a lot more about this, and I'm super excited because I love my Xtool machines. They make really high quality products. So I think we're going to see something really cool come out of this new apparel printer. If you like getting the best deals when you're shopping for craft supplies, be sure to subscribe to my Thursday newsletter. I have some tips, tutorials, all kinds of things on the top. The bottom half of my newsletter is deals. So kind of the stuff that we're talking about here, and then I go a little more in depth. So sign up for that if you want to learn more. So today, we are talking about essential craft tools for your craft room. These are tools that are going to make your creative life easier, and these are some of my favorite items that I use on a weekly basis, and I use them with a lot of different crafts. So these are not going to be any kind of one craft specific. These are going to be kind of general. So we're going to talk about basic tools. I'm also going to talk about a few machines that I own that have really helped me elevate my craft game as I've added them to my room over the years. But let's start with those basic tools. Now, you may already have some of these. If you don't, I'm going to tell you kind of how I use them and where you can get them. So the very first thing I want to tell you about is this. This happens to be the Cricut brand weeding tool. I have one of these from almost every brand. Some of them look like a pen. Some of them have more of a pointy tip or a rounded tip. But this is a weeding tool. Its actual purpose is after you cut something on your Cricut, like you cut vinyl or HTV, I'm going to use this to pull out the negative pieces. So I use it for that all the time. I use it with every cutting machine. I use it with my laser sometime when I am cutting out small pieces and I want to poke out the little extras. I use this for everything sticky. So I use this to pull off tape and stickers, all kinds of things. The Cricut version comes in a pack, so you can get it with a bunch of other tools. They sell these at Dollar Tree. Even if you're not a Cricut crafter, if you find yourself generally crafting, this is a great thing to have on hand. So that's number one, the weeding tool. Keep that around. Item number two. The current one that I have is from Dollar Tree. It is a lint roller. I use this, so I usually keep a little piece of parchment paper over it. This is sitting next to my weeding tool. I have this little pegboard with all of my essential supplies that I use all the time. And so actually all of these supplies I'm showing you sit on or below that pegboard because I use them so much. So this lint roller comes in handy a lot. It is on my pegboard near my heat presses. So before I press anything, whether it's HTV, sublimation, DTF, I make sure that my blank is clean, whether that is a solid blank like a coaster or a mouse pad, or if I'm doing a shirt, I want to get all that kind of invisible lint off with my lint roller, and then I could just peel these off. So a really expensive way, or inexpensive way to make sure that your prints come out really, really smooth. This is also a great cleaning tool. So if you are working with glitter or tiny, tiny little pieces on your workspace, after I've wiped it down, I'll go over with my lint roller and pick up any of those things that maybe I'm not seeing with the naked eye, right? All the little pieces of, confetti or smaller or glitter or anything like that. Love, love, love a lint roller for that. The next item, again, the item that I have that's grab and go that's sitting on my pegboard is a brayer. So I'm going to show you my official brayer first, and then I'm going to show you the hack. So this is a Cricut brayer. It's heavy, and it has a rolly piece on the end here that is really smooth and soft, and you roll it over material. So you use a brayer when you put a piece of material onto a cutting mat and you want to smooth it on there. You can use your hands. You can absolutely use your hands. However, we all have oils on our hands or lotion or whatever we're doing, and that can transfer onto the material. Our hands also don't give us as smooth of a roll as a brayer does. So I use this when I'm putting vinyl or paper. I use this all the time when I'm putting stickers that have freshly been printed, and I'm putting them on a cutting mat to cut out and make stickers. I use my brayer to make sure it's on there really well. I use this to laminate stickers. I have used this on my laser mats when I'm cutting like with my M1 and I put material in there. I really, really like this. I have also used this when I am making, let's say, a layered piece of paper art, and I've got a lot of different layers and I'm making kind of a 3D look. I will use this to flatten out my layers to make sure I'm really getting everything stuck down appropriately. Brayer is a good tool to have on hand. Again, this is the Cricut one, nice and heavy, nice and wide. Before I got my Cricut brayer, I used this. So this is made out of plastic. It is much smaller. This brayer is from Dollar Tree. It was $1.25. It is actually supposed to be a face roller. So we're supposed to roll it on and get those sculpted lines. I don't know. It's made of plastic, so I highly doubt that it works very well on your face. But head to the beauty section, look for their facial roller. Just make sure it doesn't have a curved rolly part. It's got like a flat cylinder. And for $1.25, you can be pressing everything very flat and smooth onto your cutting mats. Great, great tool to keep on hand. I love having it. Okay, the next thing that I have sitting on my pegboard in my grab and go area is this. This is kind of a two-part thing. This is a nail polish holder. So I don't have a thing of nail polish or anything here, but what you would do is you would put your thing of nail polish right in the top here. You can hold it on your fingers and then you can paint your nails. You could also tilt it a little bit so you can really get in there appropriately. My little nail polish holder comes with a base, so I can set it like this and then just kind of set it on my workspace while I'm working. Here's how I use this. When I am weeding and I am pulling out my negative pieces, especially adhesive vinyl, it will stick to everything. So I weed my pieces and then I take them off and I put them in here. And right now this has all kinds of like little pieces that I've cut and weeded probably over the last couple weeks. I empty it now and then. I love this thing. So this is a name brand one I got on Amazon. You can also get just this version at Dollar Tree. I actually think originally a couple years ago, these were in the beauty section, like buy the nail polish. They're in the craft section now because so many people have realized that this is an awesome tool for your craft room. And I dropped it. So that little weeding bucket collector sits in my must-have tools next to my weeding tool and everything else. Love that little guy. Ooh, there's one other way you can use it. Okay, I found it. I thought I lost it for a second. If you have a bottle of paint or glue that is running out, leave the cap on. You can turn that upside down and just stick it in there. You don't need it so much for paint because you can set paint flat, but if you had a glue bottle with like a pointy tip, you can stick that in there and let your glue kind of run down to the tip and then take it out and use it because it's going to hold it really nice for you. Lots of different uses for this little guy. Next up, speaking of glue, you need to have a good glue gun. I have had many, many glue guns over the years, and right now I am using two. They are both made by Gorilla. This is their big glue gun that uses these really big, full-size glue sticks. It sits nice and sturdy. It has a pretty big tip on it here, and it is both low and high, so dual temp glue gun. The low is great for regular crafts. The high is really good when I'm doing bigger crafts that aren't going to melt. I also use the little guy. The difference here, it's still dual temp. It uses the small sticks, but it has a detailed tip. So this is really good for those smaller projects. I love these guns. They work really well. Gorilla just makes a fantastic product. The other thing you want to make sure you do is replace your glue with good quality glue sticks. You can get glue sticks at Dollar Tree. I've used them before. I find a difference with high quality glue sticks. When you're using a dual temperature gun, make sure you get dual temperature sticks to go in there. You're going to see a difference. It's not as stringy when you're using good quality glue versus using the cheap stuff, but having a nice glue gun or two makes a big difference in your craft room. I have had cordless guns over the years, and I really like them. I love how portable they are, but they don't hold that heat quite as long. You're only going to get a minute or two before you have to put it back on the charger, where when you have a cord on your glue gun, you're just going to get consistent heat. The way to get around that is a big glue gun that has a rechargeable battery attached to it. Those are really nice as well. They're a little bit bigger, so you're not going to find a mini like this with a rechargeable battery on it. Get yourself a good glue gun. You'll be happy. You will see the difference in the outcome of your projects when you have the high quality glue gun. Next up is what I have sitting in front of me right here. This is a double-sided cutting mat. This can be used for everything. So you have all the measurements on it. This is 12 by 18. So I use this for cutting fabric with my rotary cutter. I use it for measuring sometimes. One of the things that I use this for, and actually not this one. Let's see if I can show you this one. This one is huge. This guy right here. I keep this under my projects when I'm working with hot glue and other kind of sticky substances. I'll do it when I'm working with clay because I don't want to get all of that on my actual workspace. The reason there's a difference is this one is just really dirty. So I have a nicer side on the back, and then this is just all that leftover clay and hot glue and cut marks. But if I do it on a mat, it keeps my table protected. This is a little bit newer, so it's not as messed up yet, but I love having something like this. I like the measurements that are on it, but I also just like that it's a protective surface for my table. These can run, they can be kind of expensive, but shop the sales. So I really like getting something like this at Michael's when you can get that 40% off coupon or something along the lines there, because then you can get a really good deals on these, especially as they go larger. That bigger one that I showed you is from Cricut, and I did buy that on sale. I just waited until it really dropped, and then I got what I needed. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as like basic craft tools is cutting tools. So you know you need yourself a good scissors. We all need good scissors that no one else uses, that we keep in our craft room. I have fabric scissors, I have regular craft scissors, I have detailed scissors. I like to keep those out of the way and separate so that I'm using them for the right things. I'm just going to make my tools last longer. But the other thing I use all the time is something like this. This is a really basic trimmer from Fiskars. So it has the blade right here and a scoring tool right here. Really, really basic, but this is great for long lines. If you're cutting fabric, we're going to use a board like this and a rotary cutter. But if I'm cutting a lot of cardstock, I don't trust myself to freehand that with the scissors. So a trimmer is really, really nice to have. And I have had this one for years, and I just replace the blades as they get dull. My newest trimmer that I have, and I think this is such a great value, is this all-in-one board from We Are Makers. So it has the trimmer right here. You can flip this over and turn it into a scoring tool. But there's a series of punches over here to make tags and envelopes. There is a full-on little extra piece that sits in here that helps you score on an angle. It has a scoring tool, and these are all lines that you can score in. It has a way to make bows and all kinds of tassels, and then it has this attachment up here for stamping. So this one, you can get this on sale for under $50. I love this. Again, I've had this one for years, and I still use it. But this one I got in the fall, and I use it all the time. It allows me to just have really exact cuts. Really easy to store. Love, love, love having that on hand. Sits up there with my good scissors. Okay, those are my basic craft tools that really make my life easier. A lot of them are meant for a specific craft, but I really try to cross the lines and use them for everything. Like that weeding tool, it is not just for my Cricut projects or my vinyl projects. I use it all the time. I want to talk a little bit about some of the machines that are in my craft room that once I got them, they really changed how I was crafting. And some of it was the quality of the item that I purchased, and others was just having something new in my craft room. So 4 things. The first one is a smart cutting machine. So a Cricut, a Silhouette, a Brother, a Lock Leak, something that you can design in the software and then cut out vinyl, HTV, paper, fabric, all kinds of things. I think I got my first cutting machine in 2014, maybe. It was a long time ago. And it was a Silhouette, it was a portrait. It really, really changed how I did things. I didn't even know those things were possible. You can get yourself a smart cutting machine for well under $200. The Cricut Joy Xtra is right around $150. Love these things. It is going to elevate the kinds of crafts that you can do. The second item that changed the way I craft was adding a laser to my craft room. This allows you to do what the smart cutting machines can do, but it allows you to work with wood, metal, and acrylic to cut and engrave detailed items that you cannot do with other craft tools. It opened up this world of possibilities, and I am absolutely loving what I can create with it. A good laser that you can use in your craft room, because I don't want you to have like a shop outside to do this. A good laser that you can have in your craft room that's enclosed, that has good ventilation, that's safe. You can get that for around $700. There are much bigger lasers. There are many thousands of dollars lasers. There are also cheaper lasers, but you would need to really use those outside. You can get a $200 laser. I wouldn't recommend putting it in your craft room. But adding a laser to my crafting repertoire has just opened up so many possibilities, and it's been a game changer for me. Number 3, it's a printer. I think if I wasn't a crafter, I probably wouldn't own a printer. We just don't use them in our lives that much as we used to. I think 20, 30 years ago, a printer was a necessary thing to have because we printed out documents a lot. We just don't do that. We're much more digital. We don't print as much as we used to. But for crafting, I use my inkjet printer all the time. I use it for print then cut stickers. I use it to print on paper, and then using my Cricut or just a scissors or a die cut machine to cut out objects that I'm going to use in projects. You don't need an expensive printer. My Canon inkjet printer, I think, is about $75 right now. I got it for like 60 some dollars. It is inexpensive. I've had it for years. I recommend it to everyone. It is a great addition to have that's not going to break your bank, but it's going to allow you, again, to kind of expand your possibilities and do so much more. The fourth and final thing I want to recommend is a heat press, but not a huge heat press. One of these little guys. This is the Cricut Easy Press Mini. It's about $50 right now. So many different companies make these. I love this little one because I can do so much with this. If I cut out HTV with my Cricut and I want to put it on a hat or a shirt or a shoe or something, I can probably do it with this. It's got 3 heat settings on here and I can iron it on with that. You could even do a tiny amount of sublimation with this, probably not a lot, but it's a great way to start with heat crafts. We've talked about heat presses here. I've done videos on these. I have big heat presses, but I use my minis all the time. It's just easier when you're doing a smaller project. You don't have to heat up the big guy. You can just use this. You can also use this for iron-on patches. You can use it to press a hem when you're sewing or iron out fabric before you start working with it. Such a great little tool to have on hand. And especially, I have done, over the years, I have done a lot of sewing. Not so much right now. Maybe I need to get back into that. But I pressed all my hems with a mini because it works better than my iron does. So a really good tool to have on hand. So those are the tools and couple of machines that I think are essential for my craft room. These are items that I use all the time on a wide array of projects. And I think if you saw something here today that you don't have, look into it. It may make your life so much easier. And you do not have to break the bank for these. I think the most expensive thing we talked about today was $50. So this, or like that all-in-one trimmer board. These are not expensive items. They will make a big difference. So I've linked some videos down below. If I have a video that goes more in depth on these products, it's linked there. And then I've also linked where I purchase them, unless they're from Dollar Tree. Just go to Dollar Tree if you haven't been there recently. Look in their craft section. They've got some great stuff. That is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, give me a thumbs up, leave some comments down below, and consider subscribing. This podcast goes live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central, and I have other videos that go up throughout the week, all focused on crafts, tutorials, and reviews that help you move forward in your creative journey. If you have a topic that you want to hear me talk about, if you would like to be a guest on the show and share some of your craft knowledge or your small business story, please reach out. I would love to chat with you. Remember, if you want to get those deals in your inbox, I do have a Thursday newsletter that goes out every week with the best craft deals out there. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.